Hello, I'm Chris, and welcome to the 10th video on my channel. I'd like to thank you for joining me again today. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation to drag out your brushes and paints so you can paint along with us. I think you'll enjoy the process as we paint a happy little picture today. Let's go. I'm sketching out the design by referencing a photo. It's crucial that you're referencing a photo, especially from the beginning. Also tape down my paper to give it more structure. You should always start out with your watercolors starting with your lightest tones first. So I'm examining the photograph and I'm realizing that there's a base tone of yellow for the trees and the grass. Starting with a light tone, I'm able to go darker and darker. Should never go on bold and heavy from the beginning because that's just keeping you from having any variations as you go. If you go too heavy from the beginning, it's also not going to soak into your paper properly. The way I like to think about watercolor paints is watercolor paints are more like they're watercolor stains. It's like you're staining your page. If you watched my previous watercolor video, I talked about the various types of watercolors, and this was by far the cheapest. I wanted to use these because I want to show that you don't have to have a super expensive product to have a decent looking painting. Layering in various shades of blue, and then now I'm going around the trees, the treetops. This is tricky because you don't want to put the blue on top of the yellow, because if you do that you'll be creating some green tones that might not be what we want, and we also don't want to lose the shapes and forms of our landscape. Also waited for my yellow to be predominantly dry before I added the blue in the background, because if they were to bleed together, of course, would make green. At this point, just about all the colors that I'll be adding are mixed. So you see right above the paint palette where the color wells are, I'm taking little bits of the colors and I'm mixing them together to create unique tones that are not found inherently within this 8-color palette. I'm slowly building up my layers of various colors. Not covering up the previous layer completely in places. I want some of that yellow to remain. When I'm painting the water, I am using quite a bit of water because I want the colors to bleed a little bit together, not completely together to where they create colors that I don't want, but I am trying to keep things pretty fluid by adding water to my layers. You also may have noticed that for the most part, I'm working from light to dark. I find this a little bit easier It feels more forgiving to me to go from light to dark. I'm not committing to my darkness from the beginning, so I feel like I can slowly build my layers without feeling stressed that I've gone too dark. Sometimes when it looks like I'm painting, I'm actually not adding any paint at all. I'm actually just adding water. That's intending to either thin out my paint or blend it out to another area. I'm adding a little bit of tops on the trees, turning my brush sideways, give that more of a pine tree look. Happy little trees. Having a little bit of a shoreline with sideways brush strokes, and now I'm adding in some of the rock and stone work that's in the water. Now, you may also be noticing that I'm not trying to make things perfectly identical. I'm getting more of an impression of the photograph. I am using it, like I said, as a reference. At this point, I'm adding a little bit of water to my paint and then a paper towel to take away some paint to re-expose the rocks where it got a little bit too brown. Now, colored pencils. I went back and I added colored pencils in various layers. It softened up my clouds quite a bit. It added more crispness to my trees in the background. I was able to add little twigs and things in the island and redefine some of the stones that had gotten a little bit fuzzy from the paint. And it really made the water a lot smoother as well. I also used a colorless blender to make everything flow together after I layered in my colors of the colored pencils. If you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you liked today's video, go ahead and click on this one too. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to Create Art with Chris right here.